Welcome to episode 5 of the Men with Tegridy Podcast. I'm your host, Mushrooms with Pizza.
And I'm Binoa Pete.
And we're talking about conflicts of interest. The attack of the FCC.
Excellent.
All right. What do you think about the episode? I thought this was a very monumental, powerful one. You know, very important for the time. There's a lot going on with this new cancel culture. The government silencing comedians, saying what they can and cannot make fun of. And as Matt and Trey always do so eloquently, talk about freedom of speech and proving a major point, which is Brendan Carr has Toxoplasmosis, or whatever that cat doo-doo parasite is.
Yeah, and I that was one of my favorite parts of the episode also is all the Brendan Carr, like, Looney Tunes-esque punishment for just like the ridiculous levels of punishment he has to go through for what Satan is trying to get as an abortion is pretty great. Also, the whole gamut leading us to Brendan Carr of every time they call the FCC to get something taken down, it goes right to Donald Trump.
Don Jr.
Yeah, to Don Jr. And I love Don Jr. on the phone with Don Jr. talking about it. It's a great, once again, like you said, great parody of just kind of the ridiculousness of our time and the way that, you know, the condensing of power has made everything kind of absurdly stupid.
Yeah, just talking about the Looney Tunes a bit, I thought they were so funny. You know, Cartman doing the classic chopping up the carrots like Bugs Bunny. He throws all the laxatives down. Yeah, and as the punishments just escalate and get just crazier and crazier, right? The Crisco on the stairs. And then every time where Satan's position is just, he's not going to fall into the trap. Yeah. But still, like, you're just waiting to see, like, how it plays out.
How's Brendan Carr so funny in here? So, yeah, absolutely great.
Yeah.
You know, and I am so impressed at how they've managed to kind of create, like, a new character every episode from Trump's cabinet and from his team.
Yeah.
And this is no exception of just them adding in another level of, like, things to pull from that feel like they've been written for the show, but are a little too close to reality. Very, very good stuff. The whole episode, I guess let's talk about the framing of it. So the episode begins with the Weeblos, which I think
yes, the Weeblos.
That's a great joke, and I hope they bring that back because that's another timely, very funny bit. Is what's the kid's name again?
Oh, they don't know if it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah, they don't know.
What you're talking about.
Well, he's a Weeblo. Sorry, they're a Weeblo, and I think that's a very funny bit. Is that the kids are all taking bets on whether or not this kid is male or female, and it's playing this whole game of, well, you could join if you're a boy or you're a girl, and I'm a very proud. Yeah, I thought that whole bit to set it up is very funny, and I thought that the way it leads into Kyle's mom and the whole Israel-Palestine conflict is a very funny kind of break on our fucked up world. Like it's a nice. Once again, they've done this thing where it's not necessarily one-to-one with reality. It's just close enough satirically that they can remove themselves and separate the idea, but still get to make succinct commentary on people's opinions and the views on their world. And I think that they did a very good job of, one of the easiest things to talk about and not offend anybody is Israel-Palestine. So I think that they did a very good job at...
Jimmy's like, nothing's funny about Israel-Palestine.
Yeah. Nothing is funny about Israel-Palestine. And and I think that they did a great job of walking a fine line of making it that it is the commentary, but the idea that it's not about the actual way that people talk to other people on the day-to-day or Jewish people on the day-to-day about Israel-Palestine, but more, they're able to kind of move it into this idea of they're literally betting on Kyle's mom and what she's going to do. And so it becomes this heightened level of absurdity where even she is like, I can't believe they're constantly asking Jews what we're going to do about Israel-Palestine. Oh, that, Kyle's mom saying that, going to her husband and saying, have people been asking you about what you think about Israel-Palestine? And he says, no, but they've been asking me what you think. And I think that's a very funny kind of way to be able to still address it, but remove it and talk about it. And once again, nobody's going to get mad about any of these decisions because it's such a low stakes topic.
Yeah, right. No, there's no anger. One's going to get angry about how you talk about it. But I thought they did a really good job because they did it from the perspective of the American Jew, which was interesting, and how they feel about it and how everyone else expects them to feel about it, and tying that into the predictive market apps. And I don't know if you've been getting a lot of those advertisements on like Instagram and other social media, but I do. And maybe it's because my algorithm's wired to that. But I'm seeing it all over the place. And it is because it was interesting how they tied both those topics in together and made a pretty powerful salient point, which is that people were betting for her to blow up a hospital. Like, that's what they wanted, right? And then Cartman is the good guy in this situation just because he knows that she won't.
And he's profiting. Take on that. Yeah, and it's all a whole commentary on war profiteering and just like the way that we speculate horror in the world these days. And even Cartman, like you're saying, like Cartman, the good guy in this scenario, is pushing Kyle to push his mother because he knows that will influence the bet. You know,
so he can make money at the end because he doesn't think she's going to do it.
Yeah, so it's this whole cycle of everybody's feeding back into the loop, but nobody's actually trying to say what they think, but they all want to know what Sheila thinks. And I think that there's a really interesting, commentary in there. Once again, not the cleanest, not the best commentary, but I think that it's a very hard thing to do, and for them to give it that 3 levels of plausible deniability helps to be able to kind of interpret it in more ways and be more accessible for people watching. And I think sometimes with South Park for years I've always loved it, but I've felt that kind of like George Carlin, sometimes the wrong people find it and take the wrong messages out of it. And I think in recent years they've worked really hard to kind of fight that element. And I think that this is another example of them being able to kind of play that game.
Yeah, I thought just the ending of it was kind of well executed. She goes and she's in that, she's in Israel. She goes to Netanyahu, and she does exactly what she said. She's going to speak her mind, and she puts him in his place. You don't roll your eyes at me. It's funny, Mr. Netanyahu. Yeah. And I thought it was really effective in the messaging, and just because Matt Stone's Jewish, and to me, it's probably maybe his pent-up rage in coming out and talking about it. But the online reception to it was obviously not as nuanced as the episode. A lot of people, I saw fake South Park cartoons being released to try to promote this anti-Israel narrative. Or South Park's on the wrong side or some shit like that, and people were drawing their own cartoons, and then real social media accounts were sharing it as if it's actually South Park. That shit annoyed me. Just because copyright infringement, and you're just promoting your own kind of messed up bullshit using off of misinterpreting their point, so then people think they're off base and what they were trying to say. Just awful, just awful. And I wasn't a fan of that online reaction to it that at least I saw on some part of the internet. But they handled it really well. And you brought up Don Jr. before. I loved every moment he was on the screen. what was he? He was the advisor for predictive markets. He was somewhere in the FCC FCC. He was the strategic, the strategic advisor to Israel or whatever it is. And then at that moment, he's on the phone talking to himself. But that deeper message to it, that it's just Trump's stooge. It's just whoever he implants to all these things. And that was the message to it. And they made the bit so good by how they drew him, how they made him talk. And it was funny, Don Jr. had something to say when that first episode dropped, but he was extremely quiet.
They've been getting quieter.
Yeah, and getting quieter, exactly.
Yeah, I've been expecting more of the reaction, because, like I said, they've been adding these new characters. Like they're not letting up. We're still on Trump is fucking Satan. We're still deep in that as a plot. Like we had predicted a couple weeks back, we had said that it seems like we're gonna get kind of like the celebrity lampooning of like celebrity culture and their baby drama with this, and we are getting that, which is nice.
I like the ending of this episode. How they wrapped it up. You knew the moment when Cartman put $1,400 of his mom's money on the app, he was not going to make the money. But you also knew that, like deep down, you knew Sheila was not going to actually blow up a Palestinian hospital. Like, why would they do that in the episode? It would make no sense.
And Sheila's never really been like a villain. Like they like to play her as like she's an oppositional mom who's going to maybe get a little overprotective, but she's never put in a place where it's like you don't understand where she's coming from, or she takes too far, except for the one time in the movie where she does try and kill Terrence and Phillip, but she does apologize for that, I believe.
I think in the later season she also comes back against Canada later.
Well, she's against Canada and not Palestine. That's what we've learned.
That's what we learned. Exactly. But I like how Cartman gets screwed at the end. He built up all this animosity and hate so he could profit off of it. The rage baiting, that culture, and it all backfires because he helps Kyle, and he would have made the money if he didn't do anything. So in the end, the app, the bet could have stayed up, but the government actually was effective. They actually, after going through all the hoops and ladders, they actually took down the bet. So it just shows that you just have to keep on complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining and make it about Jews maybe, and they'll do something about it.
Yeah, there you go. That's the moral of the story there.
The moral of the story.
Once again, a topic that will offend no one and will not upset anybody, no matter what take you have.
It's extremely, extremely not funny.
Yeah, this was a very serious episode. This episode had nothing funny to it. I thoroughly enjoyed it for its somber tone and the way that it dealt with drama.
All around, I thought it was a pretty strong episode. I thought they executed it really well. A delicate topic, and I think they handled it, pretty effectively. I think the best part of the episode was the little Looney Tunes bits, and then the real message at the end of it is Brendan Carr loses his freedom of speech.
And
Toxoplasmosis.
Toxoplasmosis is a real thing, people. So clean up after your cats.
It is, and the reason why I know it is because my mom is obsessed with cats. She operates, very involved in cat shelters and fostering kittens and trap neuter release. I'm giving a lot of detail about my mother here, but my brother, I do have a brother. Don't look him up. He told me all that.
That's anchovies on pizza.
He also thinks we have it because we've lived and sort of surrounded so many cats growing up. So
that would make sense.
Yeah, and maybe this episode gets taken down because I also lost my freedom of speech.
Yeah, that's when it becomes real, when the comedy starts to become real, they have to take it down retroactively. Even if you get toxoplasmosis after the episode airs, then they have to take it down because you did it because of the episode. Which is, we're obviously making a joke about something that doesn't exist anymore and never existed, and there's no reason why, because it was inspiring something bad,
Yeah, exactly. Last thing I kind of want to bring up is this JD Vance plot. I'm very interested in where it goes. Over this course of the season, he comes, it's first just a joke. He's Fantasy Island, but then there's something brewing here. He's plotting. And, when he meets with Brendan Carr, and he gives his little evil monologue, his evil little tiny boy monologue that he's thwarting his plans to get rid of Satan's butt baby. I'm excited to see where it goes. They got to pay it off in a big way, right? Do you have any predictions about this?
I think that with the butt baby, obviously, I think that we're going to end up having the child be born. I'm expecting at this moment, just because they're building so much to it, I think we may end up getting Return of Saddam, possibly. Maybe Woodland Critters or something like that could be a fun bit for them to put in there. When it comes to JD Vance, I'm expecting him to do everything he can. Maybe, and maybe this will tie more into the next episode, but I think that they're going to lean really hard into his Christianity and more about what's going on with Jesus at the school. I think that there's just a lot there that can be kind of played with, specifically with that character, because it's so ridiculous the way they've played him. On another note, though, once again, I'll always compliment the animation on Trump. I think it's so funny, and some of the faces they have in this episode of his anger and his frustration.
Yeah.
When he looks sad, oh my god, so
dude,
good.
I bust out laughing so hard.
It's really phenomenal, the work they're doing on that face, and just the reactions and the way he sets up everything. It feels like good classic animation in slapstick that I feel like we really don't get. And
yeah.
I miss that kind of Mel Blanc, that kind of ridiculous Tom and Jerry type of thing. So I'm always happy to see it show up. And for years the way that you make Trump feel acceptable and funny in society is to say, like, well, he's a pretty funny guy, and so to finally make it into this slapstick level of humor where he's cartoonishly evil, putting Toxoplasmosis in the ceiling as a trap, is pretty funny. Pushing, trying to push Satan down the stairs. Like, this is a pretty good bit. I'm working with it. I like that, and it takes me back to the whole Osama bin Laden has farty pants bit from years ago, which is another like perfect, Looney Tunes homage, and I'm very happy to see them bringing that back, because they put so much effort into those silly Trump face animations, and to the JD Vance ones.
Oh, the JD Vance ones are great. All right. Oh, and then lastly, Cartman denies, and I believe him, that he didn't put up the bet.
Yeah, who
that
put
Kyle's
up the
mom
bet?
Put up the Palestinian hospital. So who did?
I was wondering that too.
Never revealed.
Do you think we'll find out, or do you think that's a thread
No,
that'll
but
get buried?
probably Kenny.
Yeah, you think it's? I think it must have been Cartman. I think Cartman's a liar. I feel like it's a
No, because they would have. If it was Cartman, it would have been revealed as part of his thing. Because he'd be like, "Oh my god, I actually set it up, guy." Because he can never shut up.
I have a theory that was.
They would have revealed it.
I think it's just a loose thread they forgot. I think him saying it would have been something that at the end they would have tied back in, and they just ran out of time for it. That's my guess.
In my heart, I don't think he did. I feel like he would have. Stan would have known, or be like, "You have to tell them," type of thing. They didn't even do that.
Yeah.
I like when Ike was on the app.
Oh my god, I love Ike. Ike it's always so good to have Ike back on. Kick the baby. I hope they bring back Ike getting through puberty also. That would be a good plot line to bring back.
Strange.
Yeah, exactly.
Strange.
Foo-foo.
All right. I'm going to give this episode 9 out of 10 Toxoplasmosis. I thought, but it was an important episode dealing with the FCC and what's been going on. It was extremely topical, and they're the free speech crusaders of comedy. They've been so consistent for the 27 years or so that they've been doing the show, and I was really expecting them to hit it out of the park, and they did. And I bet you a lot of comedians were really looking to see how they were going to take it, and they dialed it up to a 10. I love, and Brandon Carr can never show his face again, probably in public, after the amount of eviscerating they had done to him. I mean, the man had shit coming out of his asshole like multiple times. He's laying down, his arms all up, right? He's like, ah!
Yeah, well, and him being in that position, he's like howling, you know what I mean? Like
exactly. They're doing the Elon. No. What do you must call it? Excited, a Higgs-style Roman salute.
Yeah, a Roman salute. Oh God, I love it when they fucking telling themselves like that. Oh, what an interesting thing. No, it's not the Nazi one. Yeah. It's a Roman salute. You know what
they both had in common? Big ass eagles on shit.
Yeah, right. Hilarious. For me, I also think it's a 9 out of 10. I think they did a great job. I think the FCC commentary, I was enjoying the direction of the show, and every episode's been cutting, but in the beginning they kind of set that tone of like, we've got something to say about freedom of speech this season, and I felt like, obviously they're always pushing the boundaries, but they had kind of moved around, which was expected, but I'm glad to see them bringing it back and working so hard to kind of talk about it, and tying it into Israel-Palestine is like not an easy feat to be able to deal with two major topics like that so well across the whole episode. And I do think that who did it may have been a dropped plot point regardless of who it was, but that's a small piece to lose when the whole totality of it is about so much more than the mystery of who posted it. But I do hope we find out who did it.
Maybe they had intended for a specific person to have done it, but then an event happened the week or so before, and they delayed the episode. I don't know, but
that's an interesting theory.
They're going for that specific thing, and if you're watching this video weeks later, you're probably not going to pick up what I'm saying. Anyway,
but that's just a theory.
So I'm going to mosey on
a film theory.
Yeah.
Please, Pat, don't sue me. I have nothing. But thank you guys. I'm Bino P. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Stay on our channel and get lost. Yeah, stay on our channel and get lost in the videos we got. All right, we got more coming out.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button.
Yeah.
Smash that subscribe button. Hit that alarm bell. Whatever the fucking shit they say. See you guys on the next one. Deuces.